Banking temples. Architecture of banks as cathedrals and ritual spaces. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Money Magic series. When you step into a bank, you are not only stepping into a place of commerce, you are walking into a carefully engineered ritual space. Banks have never been designed to look like ordinary shops or offices. They are built like temples, cathedrals, sanctuaries of wealth. Marble columns rise around you, echoing the architecture of Greek shrines. Vaulted ceilings soar overhead, reminding you of church naves. A hush fills the air, punctuated only by footsteps and the muted sounds of transactions. It feels different because it is meant to feel different. Banks are temples, and their architecture is deliberate. They embody permanence, trust, awe, and submission, the same qualities that religious spaces have inspired for thousands of years. To understand banking architecture is to uncover how wealth was sacralized, how financial institutions borrowed the aura of temples, and how modern society was conditioned to treat money as divine. The story begins in the ancient world, long before marble facades and steel vaults. In Mesopotamia, temples served dual roles as spiritual centers and treasuries. Priests not only conducted rituals to the gods, they stored grain, gold, and silver. Offerings made to the divine doubled as deposits. Temples lent out grain to farmers and demanded repayment with interest. In many ways, the first bankers were priests. The sacred and the financial were inseparable. To walk into a ziggurat was to step into both a house of God and a treasury. People trusted priests not only with their souls, but with their savings. That overlap of religion and finance set a precedent. Wealth and sanctity must share the same space. The Greeks continued this tradition. The great temple of Delphi, sacred to Apollo, housed treasures given by city-states and individuals. Offerings piled high, not just as acts of devotion, but as deposits securing political favor. Temples became banks of marble and stone. The Parthenon in Athens stored the treasury of the Delian League. Behind the columns and friezes of gods stood vaults of coin and bullion. Worship and wealth intertwined. The design mattered. Columns, pediments, and statues created awe, so offerings could be gathered without resistance. People gave because the setting demanded reverence. Rome perfected the merger of temple and treasury. The Temple of Saturn housed the Roman state treasury, the aerarium. Here were stored reserves of silver and gold, official records, and contracts. When citizens paid taxes, when soldiers received stipends, when debts were tallied, it was all done in the shadow of Saturn, the god of time, contracts, and harvest. The architecture of stone columns and staircases reinforced authority. The temple did not merely house wealth, it embodied its sacredness. To touch the treasury was to touch Saturn's domain. This pattern persisted into the medieval world. Cathedrals, monasteries, and churches became the great storehouses of Europe. They collected tithes, owned vast lands, and hoarded relics made of precious metals. Pilgrims brought offerings, nobles endowed estates. Churches functioned as banks in every sense, lending money, holding deposits, and financing ventures. Their architecture reinforced their power. Gothic spires, stained glass, and cavernous naves dwarfed the human body. Entering a cathedral was a lesson in humility. Wealth pooled there because architecture compelled trust. When modern banking emerged in Renaissance Italy, the Medici and other families understood this principle. Their banks were not built in wood or brick. They were palaces, decorated with frescoes, marble floors, and coats of arms. To deposit with the Medici was to enter a space that looked like a chapel and a civic hall combined. The architecture spoke. Your money is safe because this house is eternal. The Renaissance marriage of commerce and classical design gave birth to the template for modern banks. By the 19th century, as industrial capitalism exploded, architects reached directly back to antiquity. Banks were designed like temples and cathedrals, not workshops. Neoclassical facades with Doric or Ionic columns, triangular pediments, and granite stairs announced solidity. Inside, vast lobbies with high ceilings and murals reinforced grandeur. Why? Because banking itself was fragile. Paper money could collapse, markets could crash, but the building had to convince the public that the institution was immortal. Architecture became propaganda. You might lose your job, crops, or home, but the bank would endure, and so would your deposits. The vault became the modern holy of holies. Like the inner chamber of a temple, it was sealed, guarded, and hidden. Massive steel doors, impossible to open without ritual sequences of keys and codes, replaced stone sanctuaries. The public was not invited inside. Few ever saw what was stored. That secrecy added to its aura. In the ancient world, only priests entered the sanctum. In banks, only officials entered the vault. Customers were left with the same impression. Something sacred and secure resided beyond those doors. Even when the vault contained nothing more than papers, ledgers, or eventually electronic tapes, the impression of divinity remained. The experience of walking into a bank was designed as ritual. The elevated teller counter mimicked an altar. You approached, placed your offering, your deposit, upon it, and received a blessing in return, a receipt or account credit. The parallel with temples is striking. Worshippers offered coins to gods, priests acknowledged the gift, and blessings were promised. Banks copied this format exactly, only shifting the blessing from divine favor to financial interest. Language, too, reinforced the sacred character. Words like trust, deposit, credit, and bond all have religious or ritual roots. To trust is to have faith. A deposit is something laid down, like an offering. Credit comes from credere, to believe. A bond is not only a financial contract but a sacred tie. Every transaction was linguistically cloaked in ritual. The architecture gave visual reinforcement. The words gave spiritual resonance. Together, they convinced populations that banks were not only financial, but holy institutions. Even the stock exchange followed this design. The New York Stock Exchange resembles a Greek temple with Corinthian columns. The ringing of bells at opening and closing mirrors church bells announcing sacred hours. Traders gesturing, shouting, chanting prices created liturgy in motion. The market floor was a ritual theater, a performance of offerings, sacrifices, and blessings. It looked chaotic, but followed precise rhythms, like a festival. When the market crashed, the imagery grew darker, the sacrifice of savings, the blood of accounts drained, the cries of panic. Yet the temple endured, absorbing sacrifice as it had been designed to do. Modern banks no longer build marble palaces in every city. Instead, they erect glass skyscrapers, monuments of steel and light. But the principle is unchanged. Skyscraper banks dominate skylines like new cathedrals. Their reflective surfaces mirror the heavens. Their soaring height commands awe. Inside, vast atriums with monumental art, marble floors, and polished stone replicate the same effect as older temples. The material has shifted, but the ritual atmosphere persists. Customers entering these spaces still feel small, still feel the weight of permanence, still experience banking as a sacred act. This continuity across time is revealing. From Mesopotamian temples to Greek shrines, Roman treasuries, medieval cathedrals, Florentine palaces, neoclassical banks, and glass skyscrapers, the architecture of wealth has always borrowed the aura of the sacred. Why? Because wealth is fragile. Money is imaginary, a symbol that only works if people believe in it. Architecture makes belief tangible. It says, look at the stone, the marble, the steel, the glass. This is eternal, therefore your money is eternal. The design stabilizes faith, just as temples once stabilized religion. Seen this way, every bank is a temple, every vault a sanctum, every teller counter an altar. The ritual of deposit and withdrawal is a liturgy, the architecture a sermon in stone. Banking is not just commerce, it is belief enacted in ritual space. That is why banks never look like grocery stores or warehouses. They cannot. To do so would strip away the aura. Instead, they must look sacred, because money is only as real as the faith people place in it. Architecture sustains that faith. And so when you walk into a bank, remember, you are not just in a financial institution. You are in a sanctuary of wealth, a temple built to turn belief into permanence. Its columns are not decoration, they are spells. Its vaults are not storage, they are sanctums. Its silence is not emptiness, it is reverence. Banks are temples because money itself has always been ritual, and every architecture of finance is a reminder that belief, not metal or paper, is the true foundation of wealth. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Manifestation series, where we don't just talk about manifesting, we master it. Because let's be honest, manifestation has been watered down, reduced to vague quotes, mood boards, and empty promises. But you didn't come here to wish. You came here to build a reality that hits different. A reality that responds to your frequency, your language, your alignment, and your decision to stop playing small. This series is not fluff. It's physics, frequency, and fierce creative power. Inside the Manifestation series, you're going to learn how to collapse timelines, shift identities, and speak worlds into existence, just like the greatest minds in history. This isn't just about being positive. This is about being powerful. Here's what you unlock inside. Vision to Reality, the Vision Board course. You've heard about vision boards, but you've never done them like this. This is a full energetic ritual, a precision-coded map for your subconscious, designed to bridge image, frequency, and strategy. It's not arts and crafts, it's blueprinting your future in visual form and turning it into matter. Time, quantum timelines, and why time isn't real. Manifestation doesn't take time, it takes alignment. In this module, I'll show you how time is just a mirror of energy and how to collapse timelines using choice, clarity, and vibration. Past, present, future, they're happening now. And when you know how to navigate time quantum style, you stop waiting and start receiving. Quantum jumping, instantly up level. Your next level life isn't years away. It's one decision away. In this training, you'll learn how to quantum jump, how to shift into a version of you that already has what you desire. This isn't fantasy. It's how high-performance creators, athletes, and spiritual masters leap beyond limits. Jump now. Land in power. Every word. The power of affirmations and spoken language. Words build worlds. In this course, I show you how to use affirmations like spell work, not just repeating empty mantras, but speaking with vibration, intention, and spiritual force. If you've ever felt like affirmations don't work, this will change everything. You'll learn to command your field, not just request from it. The greats, learning from the most exceptional minds in history. We're not the first to master this. In this legendary module, we decode the techniques, habits, and quantum genius of the world's most powerful manifestors, from ancient sages to modern icons. You'll learn how to think like the greats, move like the greats, and manifest like the greats. This isn't another feel-good series. This is a spiritual weapon, disguised as a manifestation course. It's made for leaders, cycle breakers, visionaries, and soul builders. You don't need another wish list. You need a system that teaches you how to bend reality. This is that system. So if you're ready to stop playing with potential and start creating results, welcome to your next level. The manifestation series is open now. You know what to do. Let's build what they said was impossible and make it inevitable.